In July 24, Barbara O'Neill was interviewed on the George Janko podcast. In this video, we have compiled the key questions she answered during the podcast. Keep watching and show your love and support by hitting the subscribe button. Who is Dr. Barbara O'Neill? The story of her journey.
Well, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, and I'm a great-grandmother.
Amen.
Got 24 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren, and there's another grandchild on its way. And I really just started this because I didn't want to give my children drugs. And it just amazes me how far out this has gone. And what excites me is that yesterday I received in the mail a certificate that's been awarded me from the College of Natural Remedies in Ireland, England.
That's amazing.
Yes, congratulations.
That's amazing.
You deserve it beyond.
They've given me an honorary diploma in naturopathy because of my work in the field. So that's pretty exciting.
That's amazing.
Extremely.
Yeah.
So take us back. So you said you started by saying you didn't want to give medicine to your children. What was your child going through? And what was I want to peel back the layer of a mother that is going to a doctor, getting medication. It's obviously not working. What does that do to the mother's heart? And what did you do to get out and break out? And were you penalized back then for it?
Well, that's what started my journey, really. I mean, I was trained as a psych nurse, and a lot of us were back to nature, hippie lifestylists, probably smoking too much marijuana, have my baby. Baby got an earache at 16 months, went to the doctor, that's all I knew. 6 weeks and 4 courses of antibiotics later, the earache comes back. So that feeling of frustration, of knowing it's not working, but not knowing what else to do, and the pressure that everyone puts on you, your child to go deaf, you don't want your child to go deaf. So as the doctor is writing the 5th course of antibiotics, I said, so is my daughter going to be on this for the rest of her life? Now that challenged him. He sent me to an ear, nose and throat specialist.
An ENT.
Looked in her ears, looked in her mouth, said the child's teething, give her these drops to keep the tubes clear. So 18 months later, next child gets an earache. I don't go to the doctor. I don't tell anyone. I go to the old lady next door. I'm 25, she's 85. What did your mother do when you were a little girl? Because that's before antibiotics. She said Mum would steam up an onion on the stove. So it's interesting that you say peel back the layers. It was an onion.
Wow, full circle.
Yeah.
And James slept for 2 hours. And I don't think he's ever had another earache.
Barbara O'Neill's thoughts on marijuana.
I don't use it. I don't advise it. I came from the hippie culture where I saw so many guys become so paranoid. I saw so many guys, just stop working and sit on the veranda and smoke dope all day long.
Yeah.
And, my girlfriends and I, we were the ladies who were scrubbing the clothes on the rocks, and we had no electricity while the guys sat on the veranda smoking dope all day. And I just saw it change people. I guess I saw quite the negative side of it. And a guy came to me one day and he said, my father's dying of prostate cancer and marijuana is really helping him. And I say, great. I'm glad to hear that.
So it's basically...
I don't criticise that.
Yeah.
And another guy who had attention deficit syndrome really badly, he'd been on Ritalin most of his life, he pulled the plug and stopped, and he said, do you know marijuana is really helping me? And I said, well, I'm glad to hear that. But I also, if he wanted to come in closer and get my advice, I'd look closely at his life, how late are you going to bed? What else are you doing in your life? Have you got a job? Are you drinking adequate water? There's so many other aspects, and it's quite possible that he could get his life together. If he got his life together, it's quite possible he would not need that marijuana like he was doing it. And it is addictive. I've seen it.
Oh, 100%.
So
I'm addicted to it. So I do not promote marijuana for people, but I am addicted. And if I wish I could never have done it, I absolutely would have. That's why I'll never promote it. I'll never tell people to smoke it. I think it's like a foxhole that I'm in.
Well, when I left home with my children, my first husband had become incredibly paranoid, and he was having 30 joints a day. So,
Oh my God.
So the kids, and at first he was
He's
having
married
it.
to Bob Marley?
Yeah. At first he was having it to feel good, and then he was having it to try and keep normal, but it actually wasn't even doing that now. And he was growing his own, so it's pretty potent. So the kids and I basically had to escape from our home. You know, we left home with just about the clothes on our back. So, yeah, you can see now why I don't promote it.
Got it. So it's affected your life in a way where you're like, no, I wouldn't promote it.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? None of my kids will touch it because they saw what it did to their father.
Of course.
Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
that journey like for you, leaving your home and taking your kids?
Well, a little bit scary, but at that stage in my life, and absolutely now, I had great faith in God, and I had to flee, but I knew that God had a way.
Amen.
I knew that He had a path for me, and He did.
Amen.
And if you can see it, it's not faith. So Hebrews 11 verse 1 says, faith is the substance of things hoped for. It's the evidence of things not seen. If you can see it, it's not faith.
Yep.
So faith is stepping out when you don't know what's ahead. And
Yep.
so that's what I had to do. And I have to tell you, I think it's one of the best decisions I made. I hesitated for a few months because I thought, what am I going to do? When am I going to get 7 beds? Where am I going to get a washing machine? Do you know that? But you know, it gets to the point where you're not thinking about washing machines or beds. You're just out.
How did Barbara O'Neill come to Jesus Christ at the age of 26?
It was a whirlwind, and He did give me more wisdom. And I found a verse. I found many, but one I found that I used a lot, it was Psalm 32 verse 8, where God says, I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way that thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eye. You can't get better than that.
No.
And how He taught me was not all at once. It was little by little by little. And often it was when the child was sick that I remember whooping cough went round all the children. My children, my friends' children, and they're coughing. So I went to my herb book and I found plantain, and it's grows everywhere, plantain. It's also called ribwort. So I made big pots of this tea, put a bit of lemon and honey in it, and got little teacups and fancy straws, and I just got the kids to drink till it's coming out their ears just about. Drink. And within a couple of weeks, whooping cough, which is called the 100-day cough, had healed.
That's
And
amazing.
all my friends, their kids are coughing, and they saying, what did you do? And I told them, but they were sad. You see, my kids just drank water. So when they got this tea with a bit of lemon and honey, wow, they thought they were the best thing since sliced bread, being able to have this.
Yeah.
Whereas my friends' kids, a lot of them had a lot of sugar drinks. Well, they're not going to drink this herb tea.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I had to distance myself from them so my kids wouldn't get it again.
Why doesn't Barbara O'Neill eat fish?
Well, can you get fish with no mercury? Very difficult.
What's mercury?
Mercury is a heavy metal, and mercury is a waste product from much industry, and that's how come.
Is that
they
true?
get
Is that
it.
a fear mongle?
No, it's not.
Oh, it's true.
It's not. It's like the Minamata Bay. Minamata Bay in about the 1970s, they noticed that in Japan, the cats were backflipping and then dying. They called it dancing cat disease. So they did post-mortem on the cat and found out that mercury had eaten out their brain cells and their nervous system. And there was an aluminium big factory, and it was pumping out into Minamata Bay mercury waste. And the fish, of course, were taking up. Well, what happens is mercury is a heavy metal. It sinks to the bottom of the seaweed, the crustaceans, little fish, bigger fish eat the little fish, big fish eat the big fish, etc., etc.
Right.
And one of the problems with mercury, apart from the fact that it's a neurotoxin, is that it's bioaccumulative. And what that means is it accumulates. So the bigger the fish, the higher the accumulation of mercury. And if someone's got silver fillings in their mouth, the mercury is going into their tissues, and the longer it's there, then you get neurological problems like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, Huntington's chorea, dementia. They're all diseases of a deterioration of the nerve cell, and that's what mercury is. It's a neurotoxin, meaning brain cell poison.
Alzheimer's, isn't that they're saying that the study is showing that it's a different form of diabetes.
Yeah, they call it diabetes type 3 because with diabetes you get a blood sugar level rise and a blood sugar level drop. And when the blood sugar level drops, brain stops working because we've only got a 2-minute supply of glucose in the brain. So that's why they're calling it diabetes type 3. But there are many different causes to Alzheimer's. And about 150 years ago, it was almost unheard of.
And now it's just rapidly.
It's rampant. In fact, in Australia, 1,700 cases being diagnosed weekly.
Barbara O'Neill's thoughts on red meat.
Don't eat it.
But how do you feel about it for me?
How do I feel? Well, do you know what I reckon? I reckon that God made everybody to be their own doctor. And if it works, do it. But I know that, like I've read the research, like Dr. Colin Campbell, and he could switch cancer cells on and off by the amount of meat and dairy he was giving his patients. But I also know, or his cats, his rats. But I also know that there's people that go onto the keto diet and they do so well.
So well.
You have to listen to that. And we had a guest, 15 years ago, as a businessman. He said, "You're not going to like this, Barbara, but I go on the Atkins diet, I go so well," which is sort of like the keto diet, one of the original keto diets. He said, "I go off the keto diet, I go down. Now I've got to listen to that because the best health professional will listen to you." So I thought, why? Why does this man go down? And it's because this high carbohydrate diet, if someone's on a high carbohydrate diet and they go the other extreme to keto, they go really well because one of the problems today, one of the causes of obesity, rising cancer, heart disease, huge weight gain is this carbohydrate diet because it stores as fat.
So more carbs causes problems?
Yeah.
Because they're sugars, right?
Is it because
Well-
of our process? Like, for example, if I go to Australia, and this sounds like a joke, but I'm not being funny. I went to Australia and I was working, so I only had fast food. And I called Belle. I'm looking in the mirror, and I was shredded. And I was like, "Belle, I've been eating fast food for a week and a half out here, and I look better than when I was trying to eat clean in America." How would that happen?
Well, I would need to analyse what you're eating.
I had KFC and Burger King. Like literally the two worst, but I think the way that you guys handle your food versus America, I feel like the bread here is not even real anymore. The cheese is not
Well,
real.
the bread in Australia is not real. And yeah, that's what you'd have to look at. You have to look at what you're eating, how long you're eating it for, your activity. But a lot of people eat like this: cereal and toast for breakfast, sandwiches for lunch, pasta for tea, cakes, donuts, biscuits, cookies, mid-morning, mid-afternoon. That's high carbohydrate.
That's me.
High carbohydrate causes high glucose release, and the body cannot deal with it all, so it's got to dump it as a visceral fat, usually on the belly, and that's why Dr. William Davis, he called his book Wheat Belly.
I have a really bad gut, and not to get any too personal with you,
Yeah.
but my stool does not look good at all.
Yeah.
It's
Well-
been years since I've had a pretty good solid stool.
Well, what I find is the hardest things for me to teach is to get people to listen to their bodies. You got to listen to their bodies. If it works, do it. If it doesn't work,
How to get rid of brain fog and fatigue.
two of the most common symptoms of a gluten intolerance is brain fog and bloating. And what's interesting about this is you can have a slice of bread, it'll be out of your body in 24 hours, hopefully less, but the effect can remain for up to 2 months. So if you're going to do an experiment on yourself, and I suggest everyone do, because you're the doctor,
60
try
days.
and see what it, 60 days, and see. And if you're not sure after that, have a slice of bread, watch. Your body will quickly tell you. We used to have this cook. He's actually returned and he's our cook at the moment. His name's Zach, Fijian boy. He's been working for us on and off since he's 15. He's 29 now. And I could tell when he was eating wheat because he's fallen asleep all the time.
Yeah,
and
it's-
he's yawning, and I'd say to Zach, "Are you eating wheat?" And he'd go,
Wow.
But, I did a function with him a few years after that, and he had a slice of wheat bread. I said, "Can you eat that?" He said, "Today, but not tomorrow, or the next day, or the next day." So I thought, wow, he's 19 and he's worked out. If he has it maybe twice or 3 times a week, his body says, I can handle that. But anymore he can't. So it's a matter of listening. And I find that this is one of the hardest things that I have to do, is to teach people to listen. So I'll have a whole audience in front of me and I'll say, "Have you ever been to a doctor who won't listen to you?" And 80% are nodding. And I say, "Don't be that doctor." Then they'll go quiet.
What to do for optimal performance?
There are some things that must stop if you're looking for optimum performance. And I don't eat meat, but if someone wants to eat meat, it's their choice, but it must be organic, because we don't live on a healthy planet. And there's hardly I'm sure that there are organic farmers and you can get it, but the meat from the butcher shop, it should not be touched. Nasty stuff. The animals are sick.
What if
So-
it says organic though?
Yeah, it should be.
Are they lying?
If it's certified organic, it has to be.
Okay.
You
Okay.
can believe it. But please eat a lot of fruits and veggies with it to back it around. But stimulants like refined sugar, I don't eat. Caffeine, I don't eat, because the disruption to the neurotransmitters. Mercury, I keep that out of my body. It's a neurotoxin. Alcohol's a neurotoxin, keep that out of my body. So stimulants and drugs, I keep out of my body. So, and electromagnetic fields, be cautious of it. Get it out of the bedroom, get it away from your body.
Are you talking about like TVs?
I'm talking about phones,
The phones?
iPads. 80% of Americans sleep with their phone and the pillow's no protection. They call
No
it
way.
How
No way I
far
could do
should
that.
it be?
They call it the silent killer, because you can't see it.
Right.
I keep mine in the bathroom.
That's good. That's
Yep.
good. It's good to hear that.
Yeah.
You're doing
And-
some things right.
No, here's the thing. Well, I definitely try to. It's just so funny how my brain locks into one. Like, for example, like I had like a soda before I came here, but I'm like, I got to make sure my phone's across the room. Like, it's just so funny how my brain works. But I'm praying for more wisdom.
Get that phone away from me as you're smoking marijuana.
Yeah.
That's why I'm paranoid. I'm like, dude, turn it off Wi-Fi. Put it over there. That shit's gonna kill you.
So it's a little bit of all that, understanding why it's dangerous and keeping that away.
Why Barbara O'Neill doesn't test the health of her body?
You see, I don't have any tests, none.
Because it messes with your mind.
Well, why? Why would I have a test?
Because they want to show you the results.
And I don't. You know what my results are? What my body tells me.
Is that because you'll bring more faith into that problem?
Well, it's because I've seen so many people feeling great have a test. Oh no!
Yeah.
And that's a lady said, "I've got a cyst on my ovary." I said, "Hey, I probably have too, but I'll never know."
You know, it's funny you say that. Tony Robbins was sitting with us, and he said that he put 10 people in a room. He gave 5 people medicine, and he gave 5 of them poison. And he told the ones with poison that it's medicine, and he told the ones that were medicine it was poison. And the study showed that the ones that were told that it's poison, that actually had medicine, it poisoned their body.
That's right.
And the ones that had
That's right.
medicine, or had the poison, and they said it was medicine, it actually healed them.
That's
So
right.
it's I agree. I mean, it's a little tricky, you know what I mean? Like, if you faint all the time, I think you should definitely go get checked.
But you know what I'd do first of all? I'd say, how much sleep are you getting? How much water are you drinking? When are you fainting? You investigate yourself first. So when this arm just wasn't working and everything I'm doing, then I go and have a test and I find out that I've got a tear of my supraspinatus tendon here, and the surgeon says it must be stitched because it's split a centimetre. No wonder I can't move my arm. See, if I've done everything I know and it's still not working, then I might investigate. But because I don't have private insurance, I had to wait 10 months for a surgery. But by the time the surgery became available, I'd already healed it.
Dude, I
Just
like you.
comfrey poultices every day. Oh, it's healed.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this recap of Barbara O'Neill's interview on the George Janko podcast. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest content. Your support means a lot to us. See you in the next video.